Okay guys, Jonathan here. Today I'm trying a fairly different setup where I actually have the camera on a stand. That way it's not moving around and shaking everywhere. I'm sure it's gotten a little bit annoying. So I'm going to try it like this. But just yesterday I uploaded a deck tech for a Golgari deck. And today I thought I would show you guys how it plays in the game. Now, unfortunately, I don't have anybody else here to play with, so it's just going to be another one of my decks against this one. And so I will know both of the hands, which is knowledge that you wouldn't normally have in a game, but I'm going to play as though I don't. So I just finished shuffling the Golgari deck. I gotta shuffle the Izzet deck really quick. But if you like the setup a lot better, I personally like it better, just let me know in the comments. What I'm really concerned about is I have to stand up in order to be above the mic. So if I do longer videos, I may have to sit down, which may not make the volume on the mic sound right. So at this point we go to cuts. Izzet would cut like this. Golgari would cut like this. And so we go to draw our starting hand after rolling. So Golgari rolls a 3. Izzet rolls a 5. I know that you guys can see that, but they rolled a 5. So Izzet's going to go first. Okay, so 7. That's Izzet's hand. Or actually, you guys probably don't want to see Izzet's hand. You want to see my hand, don't you? Okay. So this is the Golgari hand. And it's definitely not the best. I don't know if you can tell. We got 2 swamps, no forest. So, but it's keepable, so we'll try. Izzet's going first. They'll throw down an Izzet Guildgate, and then they will pass their turn. So it comes over to us. We draw. We get a Creeping Chill. It's not the best thing to have in hand, so we're gonna play a swamp and pass. And life totals are there in case you were wondering. So they'll untap, draw, play an island, and then pass the turn. There's a glare. I'm sorry, I got a lamp, otherwise it's really dark, and the lamp's casting a glare, so I hope that that's sort of better. Drew a Boneyard Worm. Not the best thing to have at this point. We'll throw down a swamp. We would have preferred a forest, but we will pass. At the end of our turn, Izzet is going to cast Radical Idea. They draw a card, and then it has Jumpstart. Here, let me just... Oh, it doesn't matter. So they draw, goes to their untap step, and they'll throw down a mountain. Then they will tap 3 and suspend an Arc Blade. So basically, Arc Blade, you suspend it with 3 time counters on it, and then it gets cast after that, deals 2 damage to something, and then gets resuspended to be able to be cast in the next 3 turns. So every 3 turns, they get to deal 2 damage to something. It gets really annoying. They'll pass to us. We get another swamp, not being the best thing, and there's nothing in hand that we can play, so we have to pass. During their upkeep, the counter on the thing goes down to 2, and then they draw. They will be playing an island, and then they will tap 3 and suspend a Reality Strobe. It basically bounces the spell every 3 turns, does the same thing as Arcblade, except for it bounces something. And then they'll pass it over to us. We draw a Boneyard Worm. Yay. We have to discard, so we'll discard a Creeping Chill. No sense in keeping it if we can't play it. And it'll go to our opponent, as we have nothing to do. This was not a good hand to keep. They play an island. Then what they'll do is they will tap 3 and suspend an additional Reality Strobe. So they've got 2 Reality Strobes suspended, and then they will pass the turn. Comes back to us. We get Night Howler, something that we can cast. Unfortunately, if we do it, instantly dies. So we will pass and discard the Brawn, which is something that we should have done last turn, giving all our creatures trample. And also, we wouldn't want to play the Night Howler because of the Arc Blade, which is about to go off, so... Anyway, we pass the turn. Arc Blade goes off and hits us for 2 points of damage. We're down to 18. Arc Blade goes back up to 3. Reality Shrub's down to 1 and 2. Izzet draws a card. They will play Thing in the Ice. So if you guys don't know Thing in the Ice, it enters with 4 counters. Whenever an instant or sorcery card is cast by them, they remove a counter from Thing in the Ice. It's an 0/4, but if all the counters are removed, then it transforms into a 7/8 that returns all creatures to their owner's hands that aren't horrors. And it is a Kraken horror when it transforms. So they'll pass the turn. We get another Creeping Chill, which is a great card to have. And then we play Night Howler and pass the turn. We don't have to discard. It's a 1/1. It's all the good stuff that you'd want. But then their reality strobe goes off and they bounce the Night Howler back to hand. Unfortunately, and then that reduces the amount of counters here. So they will draw and just proceed to pass the turn. They've got nothing that they can do. So we get a Gilgate finally, so we can play that. Unfortunately, it does enter tapped, but at least we've got one. We'll tap 3, throw down a Night Howler, and pass the turn. Their other reality strobe will go off. They'll bounce the Gilgate back to hand because it is any permanent, and it makes more sense to bounce the Gilgate, dropping down the Thing in the Ice to 2. They'll draw a card, and they will proceed to pass, as there's nothing that they can do. We will untap and draw. We drew a Golgari, Jared, Golgari Lynchlord. We'll play down Golgari Gilgate once again. We can swing in with the 1/1, but it doesn't make much sense, so we'll pass the turn. Arcblade goes off, and then kill the 1/1. And then Thing in the Ice goes down to 1. So then they draw a card. They'll play a Mountain for turn, finally hitting those lands. And then they'll just pass. Comes back to us. We finally get a Forest. Play a Forest. We've got options, but right now the best thing to do would be to Deadly Visit and kill off the Thing in the Ice. So we'll tap 5, Deadly Visit the Thing in the Ice. In response, they will pay 3 and Sinister Sabotage, counter target spell, which transforms Thing in the Ice, and then they get to Surveil 1. In case you guys don't know, Surveil, look at the top cover of your library. You may put it back, or you may put it into your graveyard. It's a lot like Scry, except for it goes to the graveyard. They get 7/8. Unfortunately, our Deadly Visit was countered, and they do get to Surveil, and they will leave it on top. So the 7/8's really big at this point. I don't think that there's any way that we can win, so we're going to go ahead and scoop it up. And next card that we would have drawn was a Price of Fame. It probably would have saved us unless they had a counterspell, which I can see their hand. They didn't have a counterspell unless they drew into one, which they would have been able to have drawn 2 cards without having to deal with anything, and then they would have hit 9 Ice, so it would have not mattered. So, going into game 2, we don't really have a sideboard, so there's nothing to sideboard in. It's just we need to hit the force. If we had a great hand. So, in game 2, we will not keep a hand that's only swamps. We will learn from our mistakes, as all Magic players should. And mulliganing is a very important part of playing a game. It's one of the most important parts of the game that you will ever play, and always effectively mulliganing is very important. So there's a good video by Tellurian College, I think it's called. He did a great video on it, and you might want to go check it out. And so he said never mulligan below 3. I did a deck tech on a Dimir combo deck that was like 6 non-lands. You want to mulligan below 3 on that one. That's one exception to the rule. But just a thought. I thought I'd lay that out there right now. So then they got that. Golgari will cut like that. We lost, so we'll go first. And we draw a hand that so far looks good if we can get land. We got 1 land. It's not generally keepable, but at this hand, I say keep it. Even if it is only 1 land, and that's against the mulliganing rules, we're going to keep it. So we're going to throw down a Gilgate and pass, and they didn't draw their cards, so let me do that really quick. Alright, they will keep theirs. It's a great hand for them. Draw a card, throw down an island, and pass. And sorry for hitting that dice. That was not a mistake. Draw a card, we hit a land. Yay, so we get to play that. So it was well worth keeping. We'll tap 2 and play HR Wayfinder, top 4, looking for a land. We hit 2 Gilgates. We'll take 1 of them, mill the other 2, giving us 1 creature in the graveyard and 1 enchantment, which is great. We'll have to pass the turn. They will draw, throw down a mountain, and then they will proceed to pass. On our turn we draw, we hit a forest. Wonderful. We play the forest. And then we will play a Nyx Weaver, because we have one. Throw down a Nyx Weaver, we will swing in for 1. In response, they will tap 2. And they will play Radical Idea, and they will draw a card. They still take their 1. Everything's going smoothly so far this game. We pass. They untap, they draw. Get down a Highland Lake, it enters tapped, so it doesn't really help them mana-wise, and they will pass. On our turn, we have to mill 2. We get a Brawn in the graveyard, and we get to exile a Creeping Chill. So they lose 3, we gain 3. Very important later in the game. I'm sorry, I knocked over the tower, and it's about to fall. Okay. They lose 3, we gain 3. So this is great. And we do have a Brawl in the graveyard, so everything's got trample. We'll play down Gilgate for the turn. I don't know if you can see my mana base, but that's right there. And then this is our hand so far. We can throw down a lot with Troll, which is a great idea. We'll leave the Gilgate untapped, and then we can throw down the lot with Troll. Then we can swing him for 3, get in our beats. So swing him for 3, they'll go down to 13. We'll pass the turn. They untap, draw, play a Mountain for turn. Then they will tap 3 and suspend an Arc Blade and proceed to pass the turn. At this point, we're winning a ton, and we don't have to do much more. We mill 2, get Night Howler into the graveyard, not the best thing. Draw a Satar Wayfinder, that's pretty good though. So, tap 2, throw down a Satar. We won't get the top 4. Going for a land, we didn't have one, which is fine. And then what we can do now is we've got these 3 creatures in our hand. We're just going to discard them all to lot with Troll, making him a... he's right here. So he gets 3+1/+1 counters because of that. And so then we swing in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they go down to 5. We're probably going to win this game. We pass the turn, they untap, this thing goes down, they play an island, and at this point they're really hurting. They need something to win them the game. They've got 5 mana, so they will tap 5, go ahead and Arc Blade, and they're going to kill off the Satar Wayfinder, and it's still game, so they're going to scoop it up. Going on to game 2, or game 3, that was game 2. So, yeah, this is going to be one of the longer videos. It wouldn't be as long if I had somebody else selling me shuffle and stuff, but unfortunately I do not. So, and I'm really sorry if the background's like all weird, and I know I'm using a Dragon Ball playmat. It's because it's the only playmat I have, and I also, like, if you guys want to see Dragon Ball stuff, leave it in the comments. I can do Pokemon, I can do Yu-Gi-Oh! I can do video games. I am very limited there. I can do Pokemon video games and Minecraft, and the Minecraft will be recorded on television, so it won't be as good as other videos that you've seen, but I can still help you guys out with that. It will just be a little bit more awkward, but if there's anything particular that you want to see, just leave it in the comments, and I will see what I can do. I'm currently working on a better thing than this tower, because the tower is not the best, if you know what I mean, but so, yeah, that was a really good hand. It was really risky to keep it, but I went ahead and did, and we made it. And so, generally you won't keep that hand. It's just I sort of felt like we'd hit the land. I usually keep hands that are risky after losing the first game, because I know that I'm going to get mana. So, Izzet lost. They're going to go first. And, we'll draw. This is our hand. It's a great keeping hand, even though there is a Creeping Chill there. And Izzet's hand's fine, so they're going to keep as well. They're going to play down Swiftwater Cliffs, and they gain a life because of that. And then it'll be our turn. So we draw a Creeping Chill. This is not good, actually. We're going to throw down a Forest and pass. They're going to play an island, and then they will tap 2 and play a Thing in the Ice. A really early Thing in the Ice. It could get to be a really big problem for our deck. But they pass. Our turn, we draw Nyx Weaver. This is great because we actually have the mana to play it in hand. We're going to play a Swamp, tap 2, and throw down a Commune with Gods. We mill the top 5, searching for a creature or enchantment. And we certainly hit the creatures. We're going to take the Nemesis of... no, we're going to take the Boneyard Worm because it gets bigger based on our graveyard. But we do mill the other 3, which is fine. We'll pass the turn to our opponents. Nothing happens with the Thing in the Ice, luckily. They're going to throw down a Highland Lake, and then proceed to pass the turn. So we untap, we hit a Forest, which is wonderful because we've sort of been needing it, so we'll play the Forest. We will tap 3 and play a Nyx Weaver. And then we will pass the turn. At the end of our turn, Izzet will go ahead and play a Radical Idea. They'll draw a card and remove a counter from the Thing in the Ice. And then they will untap, draw, play a island, and then they will pass. And so it comes over to us. We mill 2. We hit these 2. Not too bad. We draw. We got a Satar. That's great. I guess I didn't shuffle too well. Make sure that you guys shuffle well with this deck. It's sort of important. So The Thing in the Ice is going to flip sometime soon. We sort of need to kill it, but I don't got a kill spell in hand. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to tap all of our mana, play a Boneyard Worm, and then we're also going to play a Satar Wayfinder. So we're going to figure out the Boneyard Worm power in just a minute when we mill our 4. So we mill the 4. From there, we don't have anything to hit, but we do get 4 more creatures in the graveyard, so we've got 4 there, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 8, so the Boneyard Worm is an 8/8 with Trample. It's a really big thing. And then we pass the turn. Of course, they could have easily countered the Boneyard Worm. And, yeah, that would have been the thing to do, so they're going to go ahead and do that, because I forgot that they had counter spells. Counter the Boneyard Worm, remove a counter from this thing, and then they get to Surveil 1. They're going to leave it at the top. Then we have to pass to them. So, unfortunately, we don't get the Boneyard Worm, but it's okay. Could have been worse. They're going to pass. So we mill off the Nyx Weaver and we mill off the Night Howler, and then we get to draw a Lotleth Troll. Not too bad. We will pay 4 once again, and we're going to play another Boneyard Worm and a Lotleth Troll. So currently this Boneyard Worm is an 11/11 because we milled 2 creatures and then the other Boneyard Worm died. So we have an 11/11 Boneyard Worm. If you guys can't see it, it's right there. And we've got the Nyx Weaver and the Satar that can swing in, so we're going to swing in with the Nyx Weaver and the Satar. Of course, when we play that Boneyard Worm, they have an answer for it, a counter spell, so they're going to counter it. And it's going to drop 1 off of this thing. And I keep on forgetting about these counter spells, they're sort of important. So we're going to swing in with the Nyx Weaver and a Satar. And so in response to us swinging in with the Nyx Weaver and a Satar, they're going to tap 2. And they're going to go ahead and cast from their graveyard Radical Idea by discarding a Fiery Temper. Which takes off the last counter from Thing in the Ice, triggering it. But then Fiery Temper happens, and then they pay red for Madness, and then they get to cast that for reduced cost, and they kill off our Nyx Weaver. And then they draw the Thing in the Ice flips, returning all of our creatures to our hand, and our opponent has a 7/8. It's looking fairly grim, but we can make it. And then they get to draw a card off of the trigger. There's nothing that we can do, so we have to pass. Unfortunately, they do have that 7/8 that they can swing at us, and it is pretty big. They will tap 4, suspend a Greater Gargadon. So it suspends for 10, and it's a 9/7. And then they're also going to suspend an Arcblade. And then they will swing a 7/8 at us. We're down to 13, and then they will pass the turn. We no longer have to mill, and then we get the Golgari Gilgate. We're going to go ahead and play that. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we can really do at this point except for play Jared. And since we know that they can't counter it, they've only got 1 open mana, and there's not that many 2-drops. And of course, I build other stuff, so it makes it really low. But he is currently a 13/13, or no, let me recount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, so he's a 15/15 actually. So this thing's massive, and it's got Trample. And we won't have to worry about the Awoken Horror at all. And so now we pass. Goes to their turn. They untap. They get a fairly scary card for us, but they can't cast it. So they will just pass the turn. I'm not even going to worry about this dice because I don't think that it'll ever get used. But they pass the turn. Well, we get a Grizzly Salvage. Not bad. What we can do is cast these 2, which is really what we should do, even though I like just to mill more. So we're going to pay 2 Satar Wayfinder, and then we're going to pay an additional 2 in Grizzly Salvage. So basically, we mill 4, and you should not do this when you're playing like normally. I'm just doing it because I'm trying to go super fast, because this video is already 18 minutes long. And so we mill those off, and then we mill the 5 off of the one thing, and we're not even going to take any of that, so it just always goes to the graveyard. And if I'm correct, we milled off 2 creatures, so he becomes a 17/17. We're going to move to combat, and in response to us moving to combat, which you should always declare when you go to combat, by the way, I just haven't because I'm playing both players. They're going to Sonic Assault, tap this thing down, then we take 2 damage from it. And then that thing's untapped. I forgot about that. We're going to play the Forest for the turn. We're going to throw down a Lotleth Troll for turn, and then we are going to pass. They untap, draw a card, throw down a Swamp. At this point, they're going to just hard cast Reality Strobe, bouncing the Jared to our hand. Nothing that we can really do. They're going to swing 7 at us. We're going to block with a 1/1. It dies. Our 1/1 dies, of course, not their thing. and then they will pass the turn. So it goes to us, we untap, we draw, we get a Lot with Troll, not the best thing, so we're going to go ahead and discard the Lot with Troll to the Lot with Troll that's already on the field. Then we're going to play Jared, which is right now, I think he's not at 17, 2 creatures died, so he's at 19, he's in 1919. And we're going to pass, Arcblade goes off, they're going to kill off the Lot with the Troll. And we're generally fine with that, but what we're going to do is we're going to pay black and regenerate it. That way it comes in tapped, and we can discard whatever comes into our hand, make it bigger. They draw a swamp, they're going to play the swamp, and then they're going to pass. I'm not even going to mess with their dice yet. We draw a Night Howler, which is really good, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to pay 3. Enchant Jared with Night Howler. It is now a 36/36. So it's pretty big. We're going to go into combat. They're going to flashback that and make us take 2 damage. We can't swing with the thing this turn. It'll be their turn. Unfortunately, we tapped all of our black mana. So if they get the card that they need, which they don't, but they have to pass, and then it's game in our turn because they can't do anything. So it was a really long thing. We can press the Fame Destroyer, Awoken Horror, but it was a really long game. We won. That's how you play it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.